As some of you already know, in my latest video I decided to deep dive into the question of why most of the Russian women and in general Eastern European women who move to the West and live here prefer to date Western guys and not Russians, but it's not fair vice versa, like Russian guys still are looking for Russian women. And by saying Russian, I'm referring to in general all of the ex-Soviet countries, because the mentality is very similar in these regards. So of course I based my arguments on kind of generic stereotype which I think is statistically significant of an average Russian so-called traditional dude and how they are in relationship in comparison with Western guys, which of course is also very diverse concept, but we are speaking about statistically significant features that me and other women who have been in both sides of the equation and have tried both sides, that things that we noticed and seems relevant and quite typical. So, some of the Russian guys looks like, or Russian speaking dudes who are watching me, apparently they felt recognized in this not very attractive archetype from a female point of view. And looks like this recognition definitely was not a pleasant experience for their psyche. That's why a lot of them burst their soft spots directly into my comment section. And I thought, why not to react on some of it? I don't keep trash in my channel and I'm not going to, but I thought that might be funny for you to watch and just me to react, and maybe you will learn something new. And let's start with something soft and quite interesting, honestly. So the first comment is Abedog Baldet is writing, as a young guy, would never marry someone from another country. Would feel like I betrayed my country, history and my blood. Would rather die in the hell of my roots than in the paradise of other people's roots. Honestly, I see this comment as very poetic and not bad, man. I really even like you. If you are at least half as passionate and devoted and ready to sacrifice in your personal relationship as you've been in this comment, I think you actually could be a really cool material to date. So I definitely respect the passion, despite I don't share your values at all, of course, but hey, finally it is your full human right to put the interests of your country, your blood, your roots, as you see them, above your possible personal, romantic or sexual choices. Why not? If you feel complete like that and you are happy, all the best to you! Next comments, they are, I suspect, from a Western guy who, because there is some community of Western guys who have kind of a dream to convert the Western society into the traditional patriarchal thing like Russia has right now, because they believe that it would be better for them, for society, for whatever they believe in. If I'm wrong, please, you can, the guy who wrote it, you can leave me a message and tell like, no, I'm not Western, I'm Russian, but I suspect you are from the West and you like the way Russian society works. So he wrote, maybe it's that Russians actually like this, but the Russian women prefer a patriarchal mindset. Have you talked to your friends back home? I have talked to my friends back home, but before I will deep dive to this question a little bit more, I want to make a kind of comparison. Imagine Brazilian favelas, and there are a lot of families living there. And if you will just look from outside, you will see like, well, but families, they seem okay. They eat, they sleep, they do some fun stuff even from time to time. So Have you even asked them, these people from favelas? Maybe they prefer to live in favelas instead of comfortable, nice houses or flats. Maybe they like it. Okay, so now go back to your question and think twice. The answer will be obvious, but okay, I will pronounce it for you. Russian women don't have a fucking choice. They live among these patriarchal men, mostly, with very few exceptions. So it's not that they choose it, they prefer it, it's that they have no other freaking choice, alright? And also your question would make at least some of the sense if, for example, we imagine the situation that I'm asking a Russian girl who is here in Europe, for example in Barcelona, and dating a Russian guy, and the relationship is toxic because this is a typical traditional dude who doesn't respect her that much, who doesn't do half of the household work, things like that. And then I might ask her, like, look, do you prefer this patriarchal way of having a relationship? That's why you are with him and not with the other guys? Because look, there is a lot of really cool dudes who are not Russian and who would be way less toxic in relationship with you. Then I could ask her, and maybe her answer would be, yeah, I know there's European guys, but honestly I like this brute force, I like this disrespect, and I feel like, yeah, that's my thingy. Alright, that would have a little bit of sense to ask, because, or maybe she would think like, I'm not sure if I prefer this, maybe indeed I should try something different to be able to compare, because after you compare, then you can make conclusions and say what you prefer, because if you have only tried one thing, you cannot really say that I prefer this if you have not tried the other, mostly. But in case of Russian women who live in Russia, who are in stable long-term relationships or even married to their Russian guys, even when they absolutely know that they are not respected the same, that their wishes are not respected the same, they are not treated as equals, they are used as basically the free workers of the house, free nannies and free sex givers 24/7. So, but they depend on their Russian partners. They often have mutual hypotheca, they have kids, maybe they're financially dependent, and mostly, even apart from these material things, that they have a status of having a guy, having husband, having these stable relationships, because for women in Russia it's very important that she is not alone, she has someone. And then you ask her, hey, do you like all of this? You understand that in these circumstances, these kind of questions, they can lead to, if a woman is into self-reflection, the answers that she will get out of her might not be even beneficial, because if she doesn't like it, then what? She will go out and find a European guy, all of these progressive dudes? No! There is other Russian guys outside only. So don't ask the questions that potentially can fucking ruin a person's psyche when they are not ready for this. And another question from the same guy. By the way, do you consider yourself feminist? Yes, I am feminist, and I'm happy to disappoint everyone who feels disappointed. Now let's move to funnier comments. So, writing. So basically, Western men will eat your proxy out, while Russian men generally don't. So you went west. Got it. Glad you saw this argument as a kind of a revelation for you. I think I was quite clear and explicit about this. And this point was not only about my own personal experience, but about most of the girls with whom we did this brief comparative analysis. And I especially liked your word choices and laughing emoji. What are you, 14? Life will fix that. Before we move to another comment, first I have to educate you a little bit about Russian slang, which is especially popular among so-called strong, patriarchal, traditional guys. Basically, it's a term Natasha, which in normal circumstances is a beautiful female name, but among themselves it means this. So this guy wrote a comment in Russian. I translated it to English for you, but unfortunately English version losing a lot of its insulting depth that Russian language transmits. But anyway, let's read what most of you would understand. So, his comment. Haha, yet another offended Russian Natasha clucking about how bad Russian men are. Meanwhile, Russian guys are out there fighting in the war, and Russian Natashas are insulting them and dating potential enemies. You Russian chicks live off Russian men. Don't like Russian men? Then slap your Russian passport on the table and get the hell out of Russia and don't come back. Well, first thing that I want to tell is that it is true, some of the Russian guys are fighting the war, but you so far are fighting the only keyboard war against Natashas. So I really don't know what these brave Russian soldiers that you are referring to has to do with you. And sweetheart, I can assure you that not me, not other Russian girls, we are not going to consult you about what to do with our Russian citizenship. And of course, I will be coming back to Russia when I want and as frequently as I want. But there is good news for you, because you don't have to worry and you are free. I'm definitely not going to set you as my potential victim of my romantic or sexual interest. So you are definitely very safe. And to be fair, I doubt that any other girl with a bare minimum of self-respect would be chasing you. Although most of them are out of your league anyway. So, next Russian guy. Let's check. As a Russian guy, I feel very sorry for you, for your past experiences with Eastern males. Thank you, that's not a bad start. Maybe you picked the wrong kind of guys. Yeah, I definitely think so. Overall, I think it's better that you avoid us. Personally, I don't want to deal with materialistic and toxic delusional personalities that generally compose the Eastern female population in the West. Ta-da! Of course, we finished on the same butthurt note as other guys. It's curious, this comment, because it's noticeable that at first the guy tried to somehow keep his shit together and try to put out a kind of respectful tone and even show some empathy and understanding. But yeah, in the end everything went to shit because the emotional charge that he felt, probably of identifying himself with this kind of stereotypical guys that I was talking about. So the feeling of butthurt was too strong and it exploded in this kind of toxic accusation about being delusional, toxic myself and things like that. And it's curious, this explosion, because by fact the comparative criteria that I discussed in my previous video, they literally were respect in relationship, domestic and other boring tasks distribution, then there were guys' looks, appearances, and sexual performance. So, out of these discussions of these criteria, how exactly it led you to accuse all of the Eastern female population of being materialistic, toxic, and having a delusional personality? I mean, it's a rhetorical question because I know the answer. Your twisted logic was just because, statistically speaking, by all of these criteria, Western guys are winning Russian men. So this comparison didn't feel nice emotionally to you, and that's why you decided basically to throw some of these toxic things and try to accuse us to be materialistic, toxic, and delusional for basically choosing better and more equal, respectful relationship, for choosing partners who really share the household workload with us, for choosing partners who know how to take care of themselves physically, and for choosing partners who are better in bed. We are delusional, all right. Next one. You speak in Spain and you speak English. Good grief! Don't take away my country. I think I'm not going to take away your country. And yeah, I speak in Spain as I speak everywhere else. I also didn't quite get what language do you speak based on this comment. Probably Russian. And, well, just for your information, yo hablo español perfectamente, cariño, así que si tú quieres, tú puedes utilizar español cuando escribes el mensaje. So, the next one will not be the perfect translation from Russian, but I guess you will be able to get the essence of that. So, Natasha certainly don't treat people. They prefer Islamic wool, which then cuts them. And don't come to Russia. Stay in a Moroccan village called Barcelona. Yet another Natasha's warrior. I guess I will not break it for you or make any kind of super unbased claim if I tell you that this part of your mindset and this part of your personality that shines through these comments are a racist piece of shit. And by the way, I have absolutely no problems with Moroccan villages or any other villages anywhere on earth. And to be honest, I hate to break it for you, but there are people out there, women and men, who really don't give a shit about the ethnical or cultural background of their partner, as long as this partner is a decent human being. And I'm afraid that you might yet not belong to this spectrum of people. Next couple of comments are kind of similar in nature, so let's read them. While what you said is probably true, in comparison to Russian men, Western men, for the most part, are pussies! And I think that's what Russian men are afraid of becoming. Another one. Russian men are much more traditional, meaning it's easier to manipulate and control Western men. Why would Russian women want a difficult, masculine, let's say, man, if they can find a pussified Western man who will put them on pedestal, especially now when they are so empowered? First of all, pussies are amazing. If you're still using pussies as a kind of way to try to humiliate or denigrate anyone, it's like, I want to welcome you to the 21st century, man. And now to the substance. What you are trying to do here is to change the meaning of my words. Instead of using the exact description that I gave to a stereotypical image of average traditional Russian men that I used in my previous video, you are calling them difficult and masculine. Well, you know what? Thinking of a woman as a lesser being not providing her the same emotional support that she's providing to you, disrespecting her, not equally distributing the domestic labor, being a shitty father and being a shitty lover is not masculine or difficult. It's shit. So no, Russian women in the West don't date usually Russian guys, not because you are difficult or masculine. Another couple of comments from a similar category. Let's be honest, Russian women just want security, wealth, a green card and a new passport in a free country. A better future with security and money, that's it. Another one. First, this guy is citing old Russian song, very bad one, by the way, and then he's keeping. If you still have illusions, I feel sorry for you. If you want to use a man for a green card springboard in a new country, I feel sorry for him. Alright, guys, it's very telling that none of you were trying to dispute anything that I was explaining about this stereotypical Russian or ex-Soviet country guy. What you are trying to do is basically ignore the arguments and tell that it's just Eastern European women, they are very money hunger and materialistic, things like that. And you know what? I understand that for you guys personally probably it's very difficult to imagine that there are women out there who are genuinely looking in a partnership, a more loving, more giving and more respecting partner and not just chasing money. Maybe it's outside of your world imagination. All right. And in this case, I feel sorry for you. And then I'm not going to dispute the obvious fact that yes, there are women who started dating Western guys, women in Russia or from Asia, because they just wanted a better life in a country that they like. Yes, it's like human nature to want a better life. Definitely they exist. But tell me, how does this fact refute anything that I was explaining about Russian dudes in relationships? And another thing for you guys to think about. Some of these women who initially tried to grab a Western guy to basically to move to a country that they think is better, a lot of them don't have their first relationship work out. They divorce, they break up, and a lot of them keep staying here because they already have work, they have residence, permissions, whatever. So they are fine. But tell me why after this they are not going back to look for Russian partners. Like absolute majority keep dating Western guys. That's it, and I'm sure you know the answer. And if you are interested, I can share a little bit of my personal experience. In my case, moving here to the West honestly worsened my financial situation. But I can tell you what, that the quality of my personal life got so much higher that I would sacrifice a lot of money for this. And as a final word, I just cannot not to notice one very telling thing, is that I literally had 0 comments from Russian guys who would try to prove me wrong, who would tell, Alona, that is not true what you're saying. Majority of us, Russian traditional men, we are very loving, very respectful partners, and we do half of the household work. We are really caring about the emotional needs of our partner, and we are great lovers and great fathers, all of this. None, 0, no one tried to prove me wrong on this front, so no one disputed how they are in their majority. what they were trying to do is basically to switch the arrows and put their attention into bashing Western guys for being pussies, and us Eastern European women who don't choose them anymore as being Natashas, which basically means cheap, dirty, disgusting whores. And you know what I can tell you, my Russian butthurt dudes, is that if we are cheap, dirty, disgusting whores for you, fine, because you know what? Even being cheap, dirty, disgusting whore feels so much better than being your faceless servant of your needs. And to be fair, there was one Russian guy who at least told that he personally didn't feel that this stereotypical description applies personally to him. And this is amazing, and I felt proud of this guy, and I really applaud him, because the truth is, you are my Russian viewers. I know there is like 10-15% of you. You don't have to be this stereotypical, traditional, toxic guy. What I described don't have to apply to you. You can grow better, or maybe you are already better. You don't have to feel hurt by it if that's not you. But if you choose to be this kind of profile, I will always be telling exactly what I think about it.